Good evening to every single one of you. How's everybody doing? It is a pleasure to talk to you guys today, as today it is Monday and it is a great initiation of the week. I will wait for some people to join in to see if we can have a live feed together, and we can have a good live feed to talk about the tragedy that occurred on this Saturday between two teams, two professional soccer teams, that they basically went at it. Two cheerleading, radical cheerleading on the bench, on the trenches. This happened. So I will get right into it as soon as you guys share this video out. Let's see if we can get some people on the live feed so we can start. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Apoya News, correspondent for Real America's Voice News. Thank you so much for joining in. Tomorrow we will be doing our normal show as we usually do. We are going to be doing our show at 4 o'clock West Coast time. For everybody that is watching, 4 o'clock West Coast time. Our program is going to be 4 o'clock West Coast time. So thank you so much for joining in. What happened? So on Saturday there was a soccer game. Two professional teams. One of them is the name Gallos Blancos de Querétaro. It is from the city of Querétaro, and the other one is the name of El Atlas, that is the current champion of the first division professional soccer team. Soccer in our country is extremely, it is part of our culture, it is part of our lives, and now has been part of a tragedy. Sadly, this happened on a stadium on Saturday, where two of their cheerleading radical groups, they always go on the benches, on the trenches, and they cheer radically for the team. The opposing team was Atlas. They're from the city of Guadalajara, and the home team was Querétaro. Both of these teams were really close to each other. Both of these radical, progressive cheerleading groups. They were on the bench, they were in the trenches, but they were really close to each other. What happened? They have had confrontations before. So the authorities and also the stadium owner and also the club owner, they knew that particularly this could happen. There were a lot of mistakes that they were being made. Security was not in their absolute top-notch form. They did not have reinforcements. They did not have backup. They had little few officers that they were guarding, the event. One thing led to another. They started punching each other. They started hurting each other. They start radically going at it with sticks, stones, knives, and all kinds of, aggressive, whatever you can call it. And they started going violently towards families, towards children, towards people that they were wearing the opposite shirt of a team. There's really graphic videos that I will put on Telegram for you to see how this ended violently. At the end of the day of when the event ended, because of this, they suspended the game. The authorities at first were giving out a number of 17 people that they were dead and multiple injured. Now, the governor of Querétaro came out, and it is because of political interest. Of course, they're going to lie about it. And he came out and said, there's nobody dead. There's only people that they are critically injured. So they're talking about 26 critically injured, but nobody dead, which it is a lie. A lot of the audience and people that they were in the stands, that they were at the stadium, they're talking about that there were multiple people that they were dead, multiple people that they were irresponsive, and they were multiple people that they were unconscious. So what happened? What is the consequence of this horrible event that happened on a stadium. This, sadly, in our culture and in our country of Mexico, it is something that has been normalized. It is something that we have adapted, and that wrongfully so, society and our audience, when we go to a soccer game, we have adapted ourselves to this kind of behavior and violent attitude on the stadium. I have gone to several soccer games right here in our city of Tijuana. We have a professional soccer team that actually participates in the professional league of Liga MX, that is the name. And we have seen these violent groups, how they attack each other, how they distribute drugs, how they distribute illegally alcohol, how they abuse, their possessive and their aggressiveness of power, because they are being let in by the owner because they are part of the cheering squad for the team. It is an uncontrollable factor. Now these groups, radical groups, have gotten out of control, and now you see the consequence. A lot of the owners and a lot of the teams, they fund these groups to continue to go to the stadiums and be this predominantly aggressive towards the other team. This has to stop. Immediately it has to stop. After this event, this tragic event, that the government is now keeping a gigantic smokescreen to not let people know that there were people dead. Why? Because there's a lot of political interest. Of course, they're talking about that the cartel was involved in these radical groups, that they were aggressive towards each other. Also, they're talking about that there's political interest of the team, because the team was going to be indefinitely suspended. Also, there's the economical interest of the cap, the salary cap of the players, that is going to be directly affected by this event. And ultimately, the whole league lost millions of pesos because it was suspended. The whole league was suspended because of this tragic event. What is the consequence of this? And I will explain why this happened. A lot of sports figures and a lot of sports journalists have talked about the consequence of why this happened. And it is, I go by one specific broadcaster and sports journalist that I listen to a lot, and I heard his opinion. His name is Alvaro Morales, and he is a sports journalist for ESPN. And he said this. Look what he said. And he is 100% accurate of what Alvaro Morales, a sports journalist, what he said about this tragic events that happened on Saturday on this soccer game. He said, "I don't care if they categorize me as a right-wing extremist. I don't care if they categorize me as a fascist. I do not care what they categorize me of." He said this: "The human rights are for people that behave like humans. These are animals. These people, they used a soccer game where families and children are united for the passion and the love of a sport. And they use this to bring blood into people's eyes and to historically and for the rest of their lives be traumatized of what they saw. These people need to be punished to the whole extent of the law." He said also this. He said, "The most important thing that I take it home, I digest it, and for everybody that lives in my country, in our country of Mexico, and for everybody that understands how this is a gigantic problem, they are going to understand the next point that he said." He said, "This is a consequence of a discomposed and a deteriorized society that we have. This is a consequence of our society, how it is behaving right now under this current administration, that they're not afraid of the authority, that they know that there's a lot of impunity, that they know that there's no law, there's no order, that they know that there is a lawlessness country. And because we have a lawlessness country and we have a president that resolves everything with hugs and no bullets. You have now a contaminated society, which ultimately it will drag people to understand that acting relentlessly violent in a stadium, potentially hurting somebody to the point that they're literally dead. It is normal for them. This is how contaminated we are. In a country, I will tell you people, in a country where we are number 3 for assassinations towards women in Mexico. We're number 1 for cartel activity. We got 4 cities on the top 5 for violence and assassinations and homicides in the world. In a country where they're killing, it is the number 1 for assassination towards journalists. It's number 7. A couple of days ago, they assassinated, sadly and cowardly, another journalist. So it's 7 journalists that they have been assassinated in less than 3 months. In a country when you have more than 103,000 homicides due to cartel activity. A country that we have a humongous child trafficking, humongous human smuggling, and that we have one of the most insecure countries of the world. You will understand this, that the attitude that you saw on this Saturday, on this soccer game, it is a reflection of our own government, of what they are perpetrating and how they want to lead a country. A country that is violent. A country that you're talking about deaths in Afghanistan, and you have more deaths in Mexico towards cartel activity than what happens in Afghanistan, than what happens in Ukraine. More deaths in Mexico due to cartel activity than what is happening right now in Russia and Ukraine. That is our country, sadly, of Mexico. And now you see a reflection of what our country, how it's being led to. Of course, this has nothing to do only with the current president of Mexico. It has to do on the past administrations and the past presidents, on how they have led our country to understand that it's okay to see a dismembered body outside of a school. That it's okay to see, assassinations towards, individuals every left and right. That it's okay to see a cartel war and people leaving their homes because their villages are being contaminated with narco culture and kids are being forced to be part of an organized crime. That is the life of an average day Mexican to be educated onto. The children now, they don't want to study journalism. They don't want to study communications because they're seeing how journalists are being killed and assassinated. And now you have this reflection of what happened on this stadium on this weekend. That it's a 100% reflection on how our society, it is so contaminated right now. It is a complete reflection on how our country, it is being run right now. It is a complete reflection on how there's no respect for law. There's no fear for the authority, because everything can be resolved underneath the table with a lot of impunity. This is a reflection of our country, how it's now being driven to our ground. This is a complete reflection of that. And it is because of that a lot of these situations, when we see them as tragic, we see them as catastrophic. But this is how a lawlessness country will have their consequences on society. It is so important that other countries see how these leaders and these leftist leaders, they don't put law and order. They're not transparent and they don't say the truth about what actually happened at that particular moment. This is the fault of these governments, that they don't put law and order. They don't put a stop to it. And because of that, you have these consequences. You have these consequences. There's a comment right here that says, Mexico doesn't care until it happens to them. It's okay to come to California, but when South Americans go to Mexico, oh my God, help, 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 LOL. And we don't care about, what a horrible comment. First and foremost, what a stupid and incompetent comment. Let me just say it like it is. And I'm sorry. It's not an insult, but I'm sorry. You know why our economy in Tijuana has gone up? You know why? You know why? Because a lot of American citizens are coming to live in Mexico, and our economy is going up because they can't afford the life in California. You know that, right? You know how many liberal activists that we have over here that they're perpetrating and they are incentivizing for irregular migration to go to the United States of America? You know why? You know how many? Do you know how many? Before you make your incompetent and unuseful accusations, please read a little bit. Read a little bit. This is the actual situation. And every time they're trying to make themselves a victim, oh my God, until it happens to them. But it has been happening to us, so it's, oh my God, so many times. Now take it. And take it and learn from it. Because now you have a taste of your own medicine. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, how old are you, man? Holy cow, these people. This is because of these kind of individuals. Because of these kind of individuals, we have society as it is, divided. Instead of fixing the problem, and instead of addressing the problem, we're just pointing the finger to see where it fits and how it fits our narrative. And just take that, now I win. Instead of fixing the problem, we got these kind of individuals that they create division, and they do not only create division, but they only create animosity between ourselves instead of fixing the damn problem. It was something that it was really sad to see this Saturday, as we saw a complete disaster in a stadium where particularly the first number that came out, and I don't know if you guys heard about this. Let me rephrase again and let me restart again. There was a riot at a professional soccer stadium at a professional match where two of the cheerleading teams went at it, and particularly they let out a number first of 17 people that they were dead. We don't know if that is an actual particular accurate number, due to the fact that the government is trying to cover it up and say there were no people dead. It's just people that are critically injured. That's what they're saying. And I'm talking about the reflection of our government. How Mexico, it is turning into a lawlessness country. And has always, for many years, it has been a lawlessness country. For many years. But now it is a reflection of our society, of how contaminated we are. Of how contaminated we are. And because we are this contaminated, it shows on the attitude of the people. It shows how the behavior of our citizens. It shows that. And it is just, it is one of the things that is extremely difficult to understand how our society is behaving. Really, it is really difficult to understand how our society is behaving. And this is what a lawlessness looks like. Oscar, don't pay attention. Oh, nah. I just like to address some comments sometimes, because you know, some incompetent and stupidity comments. Really, it's just like, whoa, my God, this is why society it is the way it is. Thank you so much for joining in. We will be back on our normal hours tomorrow at 4 o'clock West Coast time. We will be back at 4 o'clock West Coast time. And we will be doing our shows at 4 o'clock West Coast time for every single one of you. And ultimately, we will be talking about not only regional, national, but international news for people to just, you know, watch our show. So don't forget 4 o'clock West Coast time. Before you leave, give it a like to this button. Hit the bell. Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. And after you hit that like button, share this video. Thank you so much for joining in. We have a lot of news that we got to talk about, man. There's a lot that we're going to talk about tomorrow. It's just a lot. It's too much. So I want to thank you guys for the extreme support that we have been receiving. But ultimately, we need to go back to doing our show. So we are going to jump in tomorrow and get back on the bandwagon and ultimately give you guys a show. Thank you so much. Follow me at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Getter, and Telegram as Oscar L. Blue. God bless you all. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, peace and love. Because always your country's first. God bless.